Every time they open their mouth, I'm making my client thousands of dollars. All right, y'all. Hey, it's Friday. So today, it's pick your poison, right? Freestyle Friday. What do you have going on? What are you like? What would you like to know more about? What's a encounter that you had that you'd like to role play, or whatever it is? What is on your mind today that you want help from the group?
We're all good. End of call.
All right, guys. Have a good Friday. We'll see you Monday.
How about how about some negotiation tactics? We got some buyers working with some quote unquote super motivated sellers who've had their house on the market over 100 days now. We're the only offer that they've had. We put the offer in over a week ago, and it's been round and round, and finally settled on a price. And then they turned around and upped the closing date on us, a closing date which they were fine before. Now they want to close before Thanksgiving, which is probably not going to happen, instead of the week after Thanksgiving. And to me, this just sounds like we have a couple of sellers that are either still way attached to the house, or they're not super motivated, or they're just trying to get their win in. We did manage to get the price that we wanted, by not countering to their counter, by staying at our price. But then they came back with, okay, we'll meet that price, but we're going to sell it as is. This is an older home. And we want to close on this date instead. Although, okay, I'll take that back to my buyers. And we've let them sit on that for about 3 days now. I haven't responded to that. Of course, I've been sick, but my buyers haven't responded to that either, because they're worried about the time frame, because they have a house to sell, which was the reason for an extended closing date, so that we don't have to be contingent. So how do you deal? I mean, I've dealt with sellers in the past that are kind of like this.
Okay.
But the little nitpicky crap, like this upping the close date now by 1 week, just to make sure that they get a win on this, it's getting under our skin. We're about ready to walk, I think.
All right. So if you let me ask you this. If you remove all the story that you just told me and just shared with me the facts, what happened?
We put in our offer.
Correct.
We knew that the offer was
Stop
not
story.
going to
No, you're going story.
No. Okay.
You made an offer.
We
They
made an
countered
offer.
your offer.
It was a low offer. They countered.
Stop the story. You made an offer.
Okay. They countered.
See all the
we countered.
Having everything you're feeling is all of this narrative that you're putting around this whole thing. You made an offer. It was an appropriate offer for your buyer. It wasn't high, okay. It wasn't low. You made offer.
Got it. They countered.
Sellers countered.
And we countered that.
And you countered. And then
they came back with a counter and added as is. And we said, no, we're going to stand at our price.
Okay. That's it.
They came back and said, we'll take your price, but it's going to be as is. So they're not going to fix any inspection items. And we want to change our closing date. The closing date that they were fine with before. So that's where we're at.
So that's where we're at. So if you just approach your client with that, and
which I have,
okay, so then let them decide whether that's doable for them or not. It has nothing to do with they're trying to win. There's a nitpick. There's this. The seller's trying to remove all that.
Right.
It's irrelevant. It's completely and 100% irrelevant. Your best negotiation tactic is, that's not going to work for us. So you either sell the house after Thanksgiving or we're going to walk if your client's willing to walk. But it's up to them.
Yeah.
Like, we have to remove ourselves completely. The number one negotiation tactic you have is detachment.
Mm-hmm.
The worst position you can be in any negotiation is emotional. That's it.
I hear you.
And the less response back to the other side is the most powerful thing you can have. Reply with, our counter stands. We have to close on this date, or we're going to have to look at another property. That's it.
Sometimes we find out that it's not as big a deal as they, or, you know, we think, or they even think, because they think about it and then they think, oh, well, I guess that we'll go with it.
It's this is something that I honestly, I had to learn as well. For whatever reason, we want to take on the emotions of everyone else, or we want to like somehow show up even more emotional to like make sure people know that we're here to fight for them. And how dare that asshole other side, I can't believe they're doing that. We're going to get them.
Well, you did answer my question. You said your best reaction is to
detach.
And then what you said, detach. Well, not detached, because I've brought up this book I've read recently. I'm detached from the outcome. Okay.
Sure.
And I presented the facts to my buyers.
Perfect.
Gave them some options.
Yeah.
But I'm at a place where I've never been in a negotiation. So you did answer that, where you said our response just stands. We're going to have to stay, or we're going to have to walk, which is fine. I know it's their decision.
Right.
It's just, you know, they're super motivated, bringing us an offer.
That right there,
yeah,
that's your.
Well, it's negotiating against that. You know, it's doing the best for my buyer and not letting that get involved.
Sure. Okay.
You know, and standing strong. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and then they'll still be on the market. The house they put an offer on 2.5 months ago, which was a low ball offer, which was a reasonable offer, still on the market. So
maybe you go
they're
back.
Not afraid to walk
maybe you go
away.
back there and get an even better deal.
They're not interested in the house anymore. They've moved on from that big time. So
yeah. So in short, right, at the end of the day, the client drives it. If it's that important, like, so here's my take on it as well. You can go back and say, we stand, and if you can't close on that date, like, okay, so like if the buyer's like, well, it would be really inconvenient and would probably cause us a little bit of trouble, but we could probably figure it out if we have to close early, have that in your back pocket. But just go back to them with, sorry, if we can't close after Thanksgiving, we're going to move on. And then see if the other side kills the deal. My rule is always this, and I try to consult my clients on this. We never kill deals. We present everything that we want and we make the other side cancel. So never leave anything on the table for negotiation that you would have wanted. If you're ready to walk, well, what would it take for you not to walk? Present that and let the other side cancel, and then you walk, because you may be surprised. They'll go, okay. And now you got what you wanted, right? So if in their back pocket, they could manage to do whatever, like if they could close prior to Thanksgiving, regardless of whatever, then cool, hold that. But if it's better for them to close after, then just say, hey, here's what we can do. We can go back and just hold firm and tell them we can't close until after Thanksgiving. If they say, no, sorry, it's, if you can't close before Thanksgiving, we got to kill the deal. Let them present you with a cancellation and then come back and say, okay, we can do it.
Can I chime in, Matt?
Sure, yeah, go for it.
So I think one of the best questions you can do with either your buyers or your sellers when you have an offer and you guys are pretty far apart or you're having issues, first, obviously having the conversation, and it sounds like you have, Ellen, with your buyer on understanding where their position is. We all act on emotion. And so you've got to, before you get into those situations, kind of understanding how they feel about the house. And then when you get in those counter offers, understanding that as well. So how do you guys feel about this? Sometimes leading with those questions versus giving your opinions can give you all the information you need to negotiate. So how do you guys feel about this counter offer, getting the facts from that? And then I always ask, how would you feel if you didn't get this house? Because then you can, like, part of a negotiation is actually negotiating with your clients first, helping them get them to the place they need to be, and understanding if they walk away from this, are they okay? If they're not, then you want to negotiate a little bit differently than if they're like, no, the most important thing to me is the closing date and the price. That's it. So I think having those conversations and having that piece of information so you can understand how to strategize and negotiate, and really asking that question. I always ask that question to both my buyers and sellers when we're far apart is, how would you feel if you didn't sell the house and you had to put it back on the market? If I'm a seller, how would you feel from a buyer perspective if you had to walk away and you didn't get this house?
I think Michelle made a really good point. We lead with emotion, but we have to make sure it's not our emotion. We can't put our own stuff on it. It's the buyer or the seller that we're working with, but we have to completely take our own emotion and our own opinions out of it. It doesn't matter. And our emotion can fuel our client in not always a good way, because it can get people fired up when it shouldn't be, or doesn't need to be, whenever we include our stuff. And so we just have to completely remove our own feelings and let it just be the client's.
Yeah, it reminds me of my nursing days. Like if we had a code, if you were a nurse and you were freaking out while someone's coding on the table, the outcome and such is going to change so much differently. That's where if you guys have ever seen anybody have a heart attack or something needing resuscitating, you'll notice like doctors and nurses are all calm because they know they have to lead that situation, and they can't lead unless they're clear and calm. And that's the same thing. I mean, what we're doing isn't life or death by any means, but it's the same concept. We have to lead with clarity and calmness, and guide them to make the decision that's best for them and what they want. It also drives me nuts when agents use the term like, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. It's not really, I mean, yes, you're representing them, but it's not your decision. Or agents that say they will never take that without actually talking to their clients. As agents, a lot of times we get blindsided by thinking that we're making the decisions. We're not. We are simply a vehicle for communicating and helping our agents get the best deal or helping our clients get the best deal that they can. But it's not our decisions. It's their decisions.
There are times I will, if we're in a gap, like if we're in a pretty big gap, I'll pull the agent aside. I said, "Hey, can you help me? How can I help? Like, how do we, and I'll pull the agent aside and be like, how do we fix this? How do we do this? How can we find, like, what can we do here? Like, obviously you want to get this done for your client. My client's over here and I'm working really hard to help get them to the table. Like, what can we do?" And just sometimes that conversation, the other agent starts telling you like a lot of stuff. Because they want to be your friend. Guess what?
Yeah, let them talk.
Guess if I have that conversation with you and we're in a transaction, we are not friends. You're going to feel like we're best friends. But everything you tell me can and will be used against you at the table. Hondo percento. Just know that.
Just let them talk.
But like, if you got a co-op agent and they're all buddy with you, you can still be buddy and just say, yeah, you know what? I hear you. And here's where we're at. I know, like, I don't know if this is going to work, but like, this is where we're at. What can you guys do? Like, I'd hate to have to go back. Like, I've already written this many offers or whatever. Like, be careful with the buddy agent. Now, I'm going to be your best friend because I want to know what we're going to do to get this done. And if you tell me, that's on you. Why are you laughing, Ann? Because you're like,
It just feels like
this just happened.
manipulation.
No, look, I have a fiduciary. To who? To my client. I'm going to help them get the best deal possible. If the other side tells me all of their negotiation terms, I did my job.
Yeah.
That's it. I can't make anybody do anything. I can't get my client to buy something they don't want to buy. And my seller's not going to sell or give it up unless they really have a need or motivation to, right? I'm going to use every tool available to me, ethically and legally. I'm not peeking into their email. I didn't download their texts. I just said, hey, man, I know you're working really, really hard. And this is probably really uncomfortable. How do we fix this? How do we get through this? And they're like, well, is there any chance you guys can do? I think they'd probably be willing to. And if you could, then we could probably, like, all this stuff is like, every time they open their mouth, I'm making my client thousands of dollars. That's what we get paid, right? Everyone's like, why do I like, when you go and you say, these are what my services cost. Here's the menu of services. Here's what we charge for our services on the buy side or the list side, because now we have both buyer presentations and listing presentations for our worth. What we got to do a better job communicating is how we use these conversations to save them thousands of dollars at the table. Not all agents are created equal. Just because you could put a sign in the ground and put something in the MLS does not make you equal. Just because you can open a door and you can set up an auto search does not make you equal. Once we get into a deal together, you're going to find out. I will work for my clients to get them the best deal possible in whatever capacity is available to me. And I'm going to be your best friend, and you're going to tell me all the things, and we're going to get the deal done, and you're going to feel good, but we win.
Until Matt negotiates his next deal and all his counterparts have publicly heard him discuss his strategy.
And everyone's like, oh, Matt's on a deal. And they're like, Matt, we're not friends. We're not friends, dude. No, I get it. All right. So let's still get it done. Don't tell me nothing.
Liar.
Hey, I'll have to read you the Miranda, like, at negotiation. You're like, anything you say can and will be used against you. Right. No. Yeah. That's the thing is that's a good thing. I love my favorite wow, gosh, what's his name? The negotiation guy, the book. What's his name?
Voss.
Chris Voss. Yeah. His
Chris
favorite
Voss.
response to when somebody brings something ridiculous to him, he goes, well, how am I supposed to do that?
Yep.
How are we supposed to do that? And then leave it at that. And then they go, well, I've no, how in the world are we supposed to do that?
Yep.
When the client says, well, we only want to pay this, how are we supposed to do that? How am I supposed to do that? Right. It's just a powerful switch.
Yeah. And Chris will also say that the methods that he used can be used for manipulation or they can be used for good. So I get where you kind of sense that feels like manipulation, but.
Sure. Who are you working for? And it's for their good. It's the same thing. A scalpel can be used to heal or kill in the hands of a surgeon.
or Dexter.
Dexter, right? Plastic wrap can be used for weatherproofing or
wrapping a body.
This call has digressed like severely. We are only 14 days from Halloween. Perfect time. All right. Any other final thoughts, questions, or ahas around negotiation and being a true fiduciary? It doesn't mean bully. As a fiduciary, I am a fact finder. I am a motivation uncoverer. I am a soft spot poker. I'm going to find out what it takes for us to win. And then we're going to position and present.
You mentioned Chris Voss. He wrote this book, Fulfy Agent.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
Steve Shaw. I mentioned this on our last call last Friday, I think, the last time I was on. Definitely something I highly recommend. We need to probably talk about at some point.
Oh, maybe we got to put it on.
But it's changed the way. It's the way I've changed the way I'm doing business.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Definitely on the list.
Alan needs to lead a business book club because he's always got something in his pocket he's pulling out with a book.
Yeah, whether he's writing or reading them, it's Alan the book guy.
All right, I'll do it.
Awesome. Alan, hey, thanks for the question. Great conversation. Appreciate you jumping in. And it's time. It's 9:30. We'll see you Monday, same time, same channel. Have an amazing weekend. go be the fiduciary. Go make a friend at the negotiation table and see what you can find.
Got it.
Later.